How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about a modern classic. This is The Conjuring from 2013, directed by James Wan, and stars Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, and is also based on the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren, so based on a true story movie. And this is James Wan's third big hit. He started off with Saw, which obviously was a huge mega hit movie. Then you had Dead Silence and Death Sentence, which are good, but not near as many people know about them. Luckily, Blumhouse gave him a chance. He blew everyone out of the water with Insidious, and then here he is to do it yet again. There was such a big buzz about this movie when it came out. Everybody talking about how scary it is, and you go in there and boy, it does this job really well. It would have so much influence on all the ghost movies that came after it. You would have lots of imitators, lots of mockbusters, but you would also have a cinematic universe. This is one of the very, very rare successful cinematic universes, and I can't go on about that enough, how rare that is and how impressive. And there's been a bunch of these movies out, and it all started here. And that's for good reason. This movie is really good. We've seen, true crime, well, I guess true supernatural styled horror movies before, the 70s and 80s style stuff. Most famously is obviously the Amityville Horror, and you can definitely draw some parallels between Amityville Horror and this movie. In fact, the Warrens did investigate the Amityville house, but this movie, it really just does it so well. It doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, it just has to make a pretty dang good wheel. And there's so much to like about this movie, and it's hard to say what separates it so much from its peers, but it takes the haunted house genre and just kicks it up a whole nother notch. There's several sequences where someone's exploring the haunted house, they think they hear something. In so many other movies, this is, you just kind of tune out, so many other movies that do the explore the haunted house scene, and it's just wasting time walking through a haunted house. The way James Wan directs and the way he tells the story, you feel like you're in the haunted house and you never space out during these scenes. You never feel like you're just wasting time watching someone walk around a house. You feel in the moment. And the scares are really good, they escalate. They start off kind of small, they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they actually build to something. This movie, you actually see scary stuff. You see ghosts. It's not all the time and all in your face, but there is something there, so it is definitely a step above the vague shadow monsters, which a lot of the people who imitate this movie, that's what they do. But you see the ghosts, there's creepy, cool things, and you also just, man, the cinematography for this movie uses several long shots like nobody's business. It doesn't go, woo, we did a long shot. There's several times where it just pulls it off flawlessly and doesn't even, try to relish in its impressive shot. It just does it, And there's lots of handheld camera, which, keeps you in the moment. You're right there at the character's eye level, following them around, and there's so many shots like that that put you in the house, which I think is a lot of why this movie works, is they put you in the house with the handheld camera, with the longer shots, and you feel like you're there. So in addition to the great cinematography, and in addition to that, the colors look beautiful too, lots of nice browns, but in addition to the cinematography, you feel like you know and like these characters. I cannot stress enough, and it doesn't get talked about enough, just how much heart is in the Conjuring movies, at least the first two. You really feel for Ed and Lorraine. It portrays them as some people who are doing a profession that's very dangerous, and to the outsiders, the skeptics, they look down on them. but they're doing it, they're helping people, and they really are trying their best, and they really love each other, so you don't want to see them in any peril. And it portrays the family as a real family. You know, they fight, but it won't be over the top, and they'll mess around, and they all act very, very naturalistic. They feel like a real nice family, and when the supernatural stuff is there, you don't want them to come into harm. There's also, like, later on in the movie, the Warrens have an assistant, and there's also a sheriff that shows up towards the end. They're characters that are only in there towards the end of the movie, and somehow you just latch on to these characters. There's good bits of humor there too, and it's like, you know, the assistant and the cop, I feel like I know them better than the leads of some other movies, you know? So, yeah, great cinematography and pacing, really timing out the scares and just doing it perfect to a T, but also characters you know and love and don't want anything to happen to them. And that's really just what makes this movie shine. And it's not reinventing the whole, you know, haunted house concept. This movie just does it as good as it possibly can, and you just sit there and you go on this ride through the haunted house, and yeah, it's really great, and I definitely love this movie. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few of the plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what the movie's about. We open up with Annabelle. You see, this movie chooses to do a case file, a little mini story, before we jump into the main story. And that's really smart because, you know, you get the sense that the Warrens didn't just show up for this one case. They've been doing a whole bunch of other stuff, and here's one of their adventures. And it gives you another cool character. You know, you do have Bathsheba later on in this movie, but you have Annabelle opening it up, and it's just another fun, interesting character to add to the list there. And this Annabelle section, for just a quick opening, is really good and would spawn 3 spin-off movies. That's as much as the mainline Conjuring movies themselves. So, yeah, that's pretty big. But anyway, it's these nursing students, and they talk about how they found that there was supposedly a ghost of a young girl named Annabelle in their apartment who asked for permission to inhabit the doll because she was just a scared little girl. This, however, is not the case. They really invited a demon to latch itself onto the doll, and it starts to torment them. The doll moves around, it writes creepy things with crayon on little papers and slides them under doors and stuff. And it starts tormenting them, and the Warrens explained what it is, and they take the doll away and put it in their haunted museum. And here's kind of an interesting thing, is the Warrens and the parent family, the family that's being haunted, they don't cross paths till about the halfway point, maybe even later. And they, in turn, the Warrens are on their own, and you get cuts to the Warrens every so often living their lives, and you kind of get to know them, and you get scenes where they're, you know, showing a reporter their museum, they're being interviewed, they're doing a public lecture, and you get a sense of who they are as people before they show up in the movie. And having the guts to have these two, your main characters, kind of off doing their own thing for a while, I mean, so many other movies would have just had the Warrens show up way sooner and the investigation start way quicker, but you really needed this opening time to breathe. And if that means that these two plot arcs have to be separate till later, well, if you can keep it entertaining like they did, it really somehow worked, you know? So that's really cool. The Warrens are out doing their own thing, and we meet the parent family. The parent family is your average middle-class American family. The dad's a trucker, so he's gone for long periods of time, and he has a bunch of kids. There's like, I think 5 or 6 young daughters, and they all, you know, are a very realistic family. You know, the kids will mess with each other, they're playing hide and clap, and one of them doesn't clap because they're about to get found, you know? So real kid shenanigans, and they feel like a real family, you know? They move in, and right when they move in, there is a very impressive shot where it starts off a big wide shot of the house, probably on a crane, and in one shot goes into the house under a couch that some movers are bringing in, and it starts to follow this girl as she picks a wind chime out of the box, talks to her mother, and goes through the whole house out the back and hangs it up on the back porch. They literally did a wide crane shot into the house under a sofa, through the entire house and out the back door, and they did it like it was nothing. This is such an impressive shot and really makes you feel like you're going into the house, you're living there with them. It makes the characters feel real because they pulled off something this impressive and they did it so freaking nonchalantly, you know? And it's a great shot. I really love it. But anyway, as time goes on, crazy, creepy, and mysterious things start to happen to the Warrens, you know? One of the daughters is sleepwalking and bumping into her dresser. The mom is getting weird and mysterious bruises, you know? They're playing hide and clap, and the claps are leading the mom to somewhere, and the kid's like, I'm in this other room, what are you talking about, you know? There's a very famous hide and clap scare in this movie, and that is really cool. And you also get like they find a mysterious boarded up basement that they didn't even know they had, which is such a cool concept. Finding hidden rooms in your house, you know, and then, you know, waking up in the middle of the night thinking something's in your room. Very good classic haunted house stuff, but they begin to suspect that they're being haunted by something. We'd later find out it's the ghost of this witch named Bathsheba, and all the people she killed are also in the house, kind of tormented there. It's a really messed up witch. She like killed a baby or something. And so they're being haunted by this mysterious messed up ghost. They're at their wit's end, and they go and they finally see the Warrens. You know, they're doing another one of their lectures, and the camera reveals the mom is there with them in the audience, and she goes up, begs for the Warrens to check it out, and they go, okay, we definitely think something's here, but in order to get the church to approve an exorcism, we have to collect evidence and then wait for them to come. So the whole time you're like, this is a big, long, lengthy process. I hope they can get here in time because, you know, the family's desperate. They don't have much time left. And also the investigation sequence, a bunch of people coming to your house, staying up all night. Such a weird and fun concept. That's where we get the cop and their assistant coming into the movie more. And it's a really cool ghost investigation, you know, looking at the cameras and the UV light. It's fun paranormal investigation stuff, and it's really cool. So they have to figure out what's going on, stop the ghost, and hopefully do it before it's too late for the family. And it's a really fun haunted house paranormal investigation movie. I can't stress that enough. I really do like it, you know. But yeah, there's, you know, several things. Like I mentioned a lot when we went into the specifics earlier. This movie, it looks very, very nice. In addition to all the cool shots, the cinematography, this old house looks so creepy, but so well shot. You know, sometimes when you get a professional in there, he'll make the house look too nice when he shoots it really well. But the old browns and the old furniture and the old architecture, it's just shot immaculately where it looks nice, but also creepy, and that is very hard to do. I do also want to emphasize, you know, several cool ghost designs, you know. For a lot of the time they're kept off screen, but when you start to see the victims, you know, you're like, oh man, there's a person right there, and it's so creepy. You do actually see stuff in this movie. And like I said at the beginning, it's all about the heart. It's all about caring for your characters, and you really do, which is why when they do sequels, when, you know, you get Conjuring 2, which is about a different family, you still have that tie to Ed and Lorraine Warren, and like a lot of people said, when you do Conjuring 3, which isn't near as good of a movie, James Wan didn't direct it, you still feel for Ed and Lorraine Warren. You still have a connection to these characters where even if the rest of the story isn't as strong, you're still in it because of how much you care about the leads, you know? And yeah, this movie, it spawned 2 direct sequels. You had the Annabelle trilogy, you had The Nun and La Llorona, and man, this is one of those series that's so big, I'm like, am I forgetting one? I think that's all of them. They're gonna make more, they're gonna make a Crooked Man movie, they're gonna make more mainline sequels, you know there's gonna be more Annabelle. It's just, you start off with such a rock-solid seed that, you know, you got all this, you know, and it's making one good, solid movie, pulling us and investing us in this universe. That's why you can do so much more in the universe. That's why, it's because we care and we got invested just because of how good this first one was. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how much new I'm bringing to the table by saying this because so many people have talked about The Conjuring, but I wanted to talk about it here. Just, it's such a good movie, and I love pretty much all of James Wan's films. I'm gonna try to review, eventually review all of them. But anyway, if you guys have watched this far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist at the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click there and see more, and that should be videos that are somewhat related to this. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.